Well, I got the hardware off and wrap off on the two rack toms. The wrap came off way easier than I thought it would. When the wrap is glued around the whole thing, usually you have to use like a heat gun or something else and pry off pieces, and sometimes it breaks and it takes forever, but this is going much faster. But I'm excited to see the finished product, but I still have a ways to go. Of course, all the hardware is going to need a deep clean, and sometimes I use the finest grade or finest grit of steel wool. Some people have problems with it, but it works good for me. Of course, it's a perfect time to do it because I've got all the lugs and hoops and everything off, and that's the best time to clean because you can actually, put it in the bathtub, put some cleaner on it and let it sit, and then use the hot water to rinse it off. As you can see, here's the flat edge that was on the bottom of the concert toms. I was hoping for bearing edges, but of course you can see it does not have them, so I'll end up cutting them and it won't be that big of a deal, but of course it would have been easier to just already had them ready. Something I've always had trouble with is getting these badges off without messing them up. So I got this step bit on my drill, and you just go in, and eventually once it gets in far enough it will let that break loose. It's worked great on the other drums, and this is a big deal for me because this is something I always don't look forward to because it's such a pain in the butt. But so I would recommend using this. It works pretty good. So I just want to give you that little tip there because I've, like I said, done it many times the hard way, and I should have been doing it this way the whole time. Something else I've had trouble with in the past is splitting the wood after I drill the new holes when I have to add lugs. This step bit is the answer to the problem. You don't want to rush it, but if you use that and go in as deep as you need to and cut the holes, you won't have the issues with the blowout, which is really good on vintage drums. You don't want to ruin them. This step bit has been a great investment. They're not that much, so if you're going to be doing these kind of projects, I'd recommend it highly. I got all the wraps and hardware, everything off. Now I just got to wait to get the bearing edges cut on the toms and wait for my hardware for the bottoms of the drums to come in. And I've got other stuff ordered like the wrap, and so I just got to play the waiting game to get my parts in. In the meantime, I can cut those bearing edges. So it's coming along pretty well. The shells look pretty nice. It looks like mahogany on the outside and maple on the inside. One of the toms look like the wood on the outer ply may be different. I'm not sure. It looks different to me, but either way, they're some pretty cool drums, and I'm looking forward to having them finished.